Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys making some time to check this video out. I know there's a bunch of YouTube channels out there, so much appreciated you guys visiting Intuitive Angling. Guys, today we're going to be talking about a mystery to me, why I can't really figure out this doesn't work, why these naturalistic looking crawdad crankbaits that have been around forever, I can't catch a fish on them. And I got a theory behind it, so we're going to talk about that, and I'd be curious to get your guys' feedback on it too. And real quick, guys, before we get started here, I just wanted to give you guys the weekly reminder about our Fish the Moment summer lake map breakdowns. If you guys are having a hard time finding fish or finding some good fishing spots, this is the deal for you. Our lake map breakdowns, we got lakes of all across the country, and it gives you 40 GPS waypoints where you can begin your search at, and tips and advice on how to fish it. And if we have a lake you fish that's not on the website, you can book a virtual lesson with me, and we can go over any lake or any technique, whatever you want to do. And I'll put the Fish the Moment lake map breakdown link in the description. Much appreciated. Okay, guys, let's talk about this right here. Now, this right here is like where it started it all. This is an old, I think it's called a Rebel crawfish. Now, this thing, look how realistic that thing looks. It looks like, it looks edible. It's a perfect size. Looks just like a crawdad. And this thing, it was sort of ahead of its time. This bait has been around since like the late 70s and early 80s. And I started out fishing a lot of the Rebel crankbaits, like the WeRs, like a lot of people did back when I was in high school, back in the 70s. And when this thing came out, I said, I can't wait to get one of those things. I remember going into Southtown Bait, like in 1977 in Joplin, Missouri, and seeing these things here. And I just couldn't wait to buy one, man. I just saved my money up to spend, $2 or whatever it was on one back then. And I got one of these things and started taking it to the lake. And guys, you talk about like a major disappointment. I couldn't catch anything on it. I mean, this thing looks so edible. And I caught so many bass on like a WeR and a bomber crankbait. I just thought I was going to clobber them on this. I couldn't get a fish to bite the thing at all. And I've tried it in passing years as the years went by, because there's been different modifications on something that the crankbait that looks just like this. And guys, I can't catch anything. It's sort of like the Lazy Ike, the real old school Lazy Ike. I remember when I was a little bitty kid, my dad would have those in his tackle box because that's just what everyone used there. I couldn't catch any fish on those at all. So here's what I found out, and here's my theory behind it. It's like, and this is especially true for like crankbaits, stuff, hard baits like that. There's something about a hard bait, as far as a crankbait, that the way it looks is not indicative of how productive it is. I talked about this a little bit on my members channel earlier this week. And what I mean by that is over the course of years, there's been a lot of crankbaits that come out that just look killer, just like this one right here. And you can't get a fish on them. You cannot buy them. And then you can have some crankbaits that don't look very good. They're just sort of like, they got cheap components on it. They got, real basic, cheap looking paint jobs on it. And they don't look necessarily that great when they're running in the water. Yet for whatever reason, they catch a ton of fish. And what I realized about it, it's like one of the things that attracts bass to a bait, like a hard moving bait specifically, it doesn't have to do with what the bait looks like as much as the combination of like the profile, the action it has, the wobble it has, and the frequency that it emits with that vibration. So there's a lot of different elements in play that actually trigger that fish. And the visual aspect of it is not one of them, because when this little thing's going across the water, when it's bouncing across rocks across the bottom, you're capitalizing more than not, you're capitalizing on some type of reaction strike from the moving bait. So they don't have time, even though this bait looks good to you and me, they don't have time to study the realism of it like they would if it was a jig or a bait just sitting still on the bottom. And they react to that profile and vibration and the water displacement and the color of the bait, as far as the tint, not necessarily how the bait looks, but the color tint in regards to like a metallic finish, a flat finish, or translucent. So one of the things that I want to talk about, or one of the things I just want to leave you guys here with, is that's what I figured out about these natural looking crankbaits like this Rebel Crawdad here. And you guys may have seen the same thing. To be honest with you guys, I don't fish them like this anymore. I mean, I don't fish the real natural looking crankbaits, you know, because they just don't work for me anyway. I'm sure some of you guys can say I've caught fish on them, and I have heard of some guys catching some fish on creeks on them. And obviously, if you fish in a place that's got a lot of fish that don't have much fishing pressure, they're going to hit anything. So I'm sure you can catch them on that. But anyway, guys, this is one of the most disappointing lures that I've ever encountered as far as fishing that thing. It just never didn't work for me. So that's what I figured out about them. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk later.